Hi, we're at BSC Expo 2019 and I'm joined again by Oliver from Cinefade. We spoke at Cinec back in October, wasn't it?
We did.
Where you just brought the Cinefade product to market. Variable depth of field. It's pretty revolutionary. That it was just about to go into full production then, wasn't it? And you've actually got a production version here with you now. So,
yes.
So this is, if someone buys the kit, this is what they'll get.
This is what they'll get. They'll get the case and our two polarizing filters. So our motorized polarizer, which has the motor built in and allows you to rotate the polarizer through 180 degrees, which you can then combine with the second polarizer, the static one, to form a variable ND filter. Both these filters have magnets, so they attach together like this. That's actually a new development we came up with in the last few months. That means that you can easily take them out of the mat box and put them back in without them falling apart. We've actually made it smaller and lighter as well, and we've moved the control over to the AC side. And that way it's just easier for the AC to change the ND and not get into the operator's way.
And so just reiterate what this does. I mean, it separates the control of depth of field from focus the whole area. You've got complete control over that specific element in there.
That's right, yes. So you would control your exposure as you do normally. You set your iris position and you set your exposure, and that exposure, that T-stop becomes your deep depth of field. And from that point onwards, you can then transition 5 stops to a shallow depth of field. So you can go from a T11, set that as your example, as your starting point, and then go to a T2. I think that's 5 stops. And obviously you can also separate the variable ND from the iris and just use it as a variable ND filter. So if you're doing an interior to exterior shot on a Steadicam and you don't want to ride the iris, you can just control the variable ND filter and not have to worry about the exposure and the depth of field change.
It's amazing. It just gives you so much freedom.
And whenever the camera is inaccessible, really. So even on a crane or on a Russian arm or anything.
That's it. But also, the whole product, it gives up a whole new area of creativity, doesn't it? And the examples you've shown of its use. It's a fantastic tool for getting that emotion or emphasis into a scene that you couldn't do very easily before.
The Cinefade, absolutely. That's why we call it a novel storytelling tool. It's a storytelling tool that hasn't been used in cinemas so far or in TV on commercials, and people are now experimenting with it. So people are using it for product shots, people are combining it with a dolly zoom effect, a Cinefade with a dolly zoom effect, which is very wacky, but for certain product shots or for certain moments which are very dramatic in a film, that can be exactly the kind of effect that the cinematographer would want.
It's wonderful. And you're distributed through cmotion, aren't you?
Correct, so cmotion and Cinefade, we've partnered together.
And we looked at the control unit back in at Cinec as well as a separate item, but now, and you've got one here, you've hooked it up so that you can use the fourth axis of this.
That's right, So the Cinefade is now compatible with the cPRO system, and the really cool thing about having it compatible with the cPRO system is using the fourth axis. So we've got a thumb wheel controller here, and you can assign that to anything, but the best way, I think, to use it is to assign it to the variable ND filter. So you've got your focus, your iris, and your zoom control, and then the fourth controller as a variable ND filter. Again, if you're doing an interior to exterior, or if you're adjusting the exposure, you can use this as an exposure adjustment tool as well.
But it's just such a logical place to have it, isn't it?
Exactly, and it's the newest system, it's future-proof, it's got a much better display, it allows you to display more information about your Cinefade. So it made sense to make it compatible with the cPRO system.
That's brilliant. I mean, and that's literally come in the last few months, isn't it?
That's right. So we announced it a while ago, and we are in February now. So we'll be shipping in a few weeks.
Right. Yes.
Getting it out to rental houses, and really just excited to see what cinematographers will come up with. It's about experimenting with this storytelling tool.
No, it was great to see you again. Keep us informed of what's going on with it, because we're quite excited about it. It'd be great to see what, like you say, what people start to do with it, because it'll be a surprise to you as well, won't it? You know, the things that people can.
Exactly. I mean, that was a really great shot that we posted on our Instagram last week, where they actually used it to reveal an antagonist in the background. So instead of going from a deep to a shallow depth of field, they went from a blurry background and then revealed the bad guy in the background by increasing the depth of field and bringing him into focus, while still being able to see, you know, the face of the foreground. So it's a really nice example of how you can use this effect.
Specifically for storytelling. So that's fantastic. Well, thanks for talking to us, and we'll see you at another trade show, I'm sure. But
thanks for having me.
Thank you.